very much for joining the live stream or watching the recording. Most of you have already seen this article, probably different platforms. There is one that all the foreigners go to and where you get all the information. So you've read that about some countries, 7 nationalities that will not need visas or residence permits to work in the Czech Republic. And like plenty of people started writing us questions about that. Plenty of our clients like, okay, we are in the process. Will this significantly change my my chances or process or whatever? And that was either written as a clickbait or it was written by a person who has no idea about immigration and how it all works, or combination of that. But it's definitely not the way as it is presented. So I decided to do a live stream about this topic to give you the correct information, what it is all about, what it will mean for you. Also, what might be the motivation, what might be the long-term implications, and what exactly you should expect from this change of law if it ever happens. Now it's just a draft of the law, so it's not a sure thing. It can change and it might never be approved eventually. But it's a draft. I've read the draft. I've read all the pages of the draft, so I'm prepared. So let me take you through what it means. So it certainly doesn't mean, the change in the law certainly doesn't mean that you will not need, if you're from these 7 countries, that you will not need a residence permit or a visa to live and work in the Czech Republic. This change of the law is introduced by the Ministry of Labor, which has no jurisdiction, no right to make any changes like that. That fall under the Ministry of the Interior, potentially Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but definitely not under Ministry of Labor. So already from this, who is presenting the law or the draft of the law, you can kind of say that it will not have any impact on visas or residence permit. So that's one thing. But what it says is that people from these 7 countries, Australia, Canada, USA, Japan, South Korea, and New Zealand, that's 6, one more, whatever. You know the countries, there is the list in the article. I can also write it in the description of the video, but from these countries, it says that you will have free access to the labor market, which means that you will be able to work freely in the Czech Republic, given that you have some valid visa or residence permit. So it might potentially make an employee card process or blue card process a bit easier, a bit faster, but it doesn't mean that you can just come here, start living here, and you can work and you will not need any visa for that. So to give you an example what it all means, I will just give you an example what it is about, and then I will go through the different reasonings and what I think it all means and what is the motivation of the ministry to do this. And I'll share in general my opinion. But okay, so if you want to work in the Czech Republic, in most work I mean being employed by a local entity. So not work as a freelancer, as freelance English teachers or something, but work as an employee of a Czech company, which means that they will be covering your social security, healthcare, and income tax. In this case, you apply for an employee card or for a blue card. And the standard process is that your employer must advertise this position through the labor office. The position must be there for a certain amount of days, depending on the position, so either 10 or 30 days. And during those 10 or 30 days, Czech citizens and EU citizens have the right to apply for the position. Only if no Czech citizens, no EU citizens get the position, you as a third country national, non-EU citizen, can apply for the employee card. So if you get a free access to the labor market, which this change in the law is about, it means that you can skip this first step. So you will not need to wait 10 or 30 days to get the vacancy number, because you will not need the vacancy number. So what it technically means is that the employee card or a blue card process will be a bit faster for you, and you will not be applying for a standard employee card, but you will be applying for so-called non-dual employee card, which will just allow you to live in the Czech Republic because you will have the right to work, so you don't need to get the right to work here either. So in real life perspective, this will mean that the employee card process or blue card process will be a bit faster, maybe like 10 days faster or 30 days faster, but that's about it. So it will not change anything on how much employer needs to pay to hire you. It's still okay, so there are two main reasons why companies are kind of hesitant to hire foreigners under the employee card and go through the process. One is that it takes long. It takes 4 to 6 months before you can start working. When they hire you, they tell you, okay, we want you, here's the contract for you. Then it usually takes like 4 to 6 months to go through the employee card process, blue card process, and then you can start working. So this change of the law will shorten this from like 4 to 6 months to 4 to 5 months maybe. So that's nothing too significant. Plus they will still need to, their cost for your services or your employment or whatever we call it will still be the same. They will still need to pay you the same social security, healthcare, income tax, everything. So that's usually the second reason or the other reason why companies don't want you or they don't want to hire foreigners, because A, they need to wait for you for a long time, and second, it's pretty expensive to employ people in the Czech Republic. And this change of the law doesn't change anything on that. So from this perspective, there will actually not be much of a change. But of course, I appreciate it. It's like one step. It shows that someone is actually maybe not thinking, but that this is an agenda which is interesting. That more ministries are thinking about employment, about foreigners, about the immigration. So that's always good. That someone thinks about it, someone does something about it. That there are good changes, and this is a good change technically. I don't think anything will change in real life. I will get to some of the points in a second and my opinion about that, but I don't think it will change like anything. But it's a good step. It shows that there is some effort from the side of the government and that someone is interested in the topic of immigration, which is always good from our perspective as an immigration agency and from your perspective as foreigners move into the Czech Republic or living here. So that's definitely a good thing. It will shorten the process a bit. It will make it a bit easier to get an employee card or a blue card. So I appreciate that as well. But from the real life perspective, nothing really will be changing. And now I will go deeper into the reasoning of the ministry and why they are doing this and why I think it's kind of like weird and why I said that probably they didn't really think about it, but we'll see. So basically what they say that people from these countries, one valid point, that they don't really come here to have like a better life, that they don't really catch too many Americans like abusing the system just to get like social security support from the Czech Republic or something. Valid point. Yeah, I don't think many like Japanese or British people or US people come here to use the governmental support because that would be way higher in their home countries. So, okay, that's a valid point. So there is a low security risk. These countries are the countries that are actually more developed than the Czech Republic, so they don't have a reason to migrate to the Czech Republic to just like steal here and like use the social security support. So that's a valid point. Safe country. So if we should give someone the right to work freely, these countries definitely make sense. So that's good. That's a valid point. They also say that most of people from these nationalities work here in higher qualified positions like directors of companies or managers of companies or highly specialized people, which might be true as well. I'm sure it's true because they have it backed up by data, but I think it's not much about like that only like clever people with the university degrees and stuff would want to move to the Czech Republic. I think it's more about like Japanese companies being here, Korean companies being here, British companies being here. And they obviously, if you are a British company, you probably want to have someone British in your management. You know, if you're a Japanese company, you probably want to have Japanese in your management in the company in the Czech Republic. If you're a Korean company, you probably want to have some Koreans in your board of directors. So I don't think it's like that much that Koreans would move here because they want to live in the Czech Republic. But they move here because they have companies, Korean companies here, and they are moved here basically. Not kind of like they want to do it and they find a job here, but it's usually like internal moves. So this reasoning is kind of weird. They say that they want to attract these kind of people. They want to attract managers from Japan and managers from Korea and managers from the US. But I don't think they come here as their personal challenge that, okay, so I'm already a director of a company in the US. Like I run a multinational company in Japan. So how could I move my career? Let's go to the Czech Republic. That's a good decision. I don't think it works like this. I think it's more the other way around, that there is already like a big Japanese brand, Korean brand, Australian brand, US brand here, and they just want like those nationalities to be in the management. But maybe, we'll see. This might also change because now they're reasoning this way, that basically from these countries, only people with degrees and people from management come here. So we want to attract more of these people, so let's open the market to them. What might happen now is that if they let everyone from this country comes here easier, then maybe it will attract other professions as well. They will not be that qualified, and that will maybe make the government change the rules again, and they will like say, okay, so we cancel this program, you no longer have free access to the labor market, because we thought we would be attracting more managers, but we are now attracting more cooks, and we don't want cooks here. So like, yeah, we'll see, because I don't think it's really that way that people from the US would look for a personal challenge, and they would be looking to manage a company in the Czech Republic. I think there are more challenging countries to go to in terms of like the pay and like what you can learn, what you can provide. But maybe, this is my opinion, maybe it will work differently. Another thing though is that we already have agreements with many of these countries, with Japan, Korea, New Zealand, Australia. We have already agreements called working holiday or working holiday, youth mobility, either youth mobility or working holiday programs, which allows people below some age, usually 35, 36, 30, depends on the program, but they already allow you to come here and work if you want. So you also have free access to the labor market. So actually for younger people, nothing much really changes anyway, because you could, if you're a young Japanese or young Korean, young Australian, young New Zealander, you can anyway come here under the working holiday visa and you can work freely. So also from this perspective, it kind of makes sense that if you want to do it for some countries, you do it for the countries that already have this advantage in a way, and they are safe and all that. So again, it's a good thing that they kind of opened the door, that at least someone opened the thinking about that, and it makes sense that they do it for these countries which are already proven that they don't come here to like abuse the social security system and stuff. So okay, that I agree with that, why not? But generally I don't think it will change anything at all. Let me see if I have anything. Yeah, no, I think this is everything I wanted to say about that. The draft of the law basically says that this should become effective, if approved, it should become effective from the 1st of July. So we'll see. It might change. The like insides of the law can change. The starting date can change. It might not even be pushed and like approved. We'll see. If it is approved, again, great that someone is starting to think about immigration, because a couple years ago I would not really 5 years ago, 6 years ago, if COVID had not started, I would not ever imagine that Czech Republic would introduce the digital nomad visa. No one was thinking about it. That was nowhere close. But when pirates entered the government, they started changing this. They started going towards digitalization and all that. So that was a great change and great step. And COVID also changed all that, because then a lot of people were either forced or they just used the opportunity to start working remotely, become digital nomads, and the Czech Republic was behind. because all the other European countries already introduced some kind of programs for digital nomads, and all other countries, not all, but many countries in the world also did that, and Czech Republic was just like behind in that. So they introduced, or we introduced, this digital nomad program. Again, it's kind of similar to this change. It's like very limited to 9 nationalities and only one field of business, which is IT. But it's a first step. 5 years ago, I would not imagine anything like this happen at all. So I welcome this. I appreciate this. It's a first step towards something, hopefully. It will not change anything in the daily operations or in the market. There were, I believe they quoted that there are like 9,000 employees from these countries. So if 9,000 is like nothing, we have almost 1 million of foreigners here. 9,000 out of that is nothing. So even if the migration increases by 10% because of this change from these countries, I mean, it will be 9,900 people. So that will not change anything about anything, but it's a good entry point to start thinking about things like this. Guys, let me know what you think about this. If you have any, I will now go through the questions you've asked here, or I will read the comments, whatever is here. I don't know. But if you have any questions, or if you have something to say about it, please do that in the comments when I finish the live stream, or even now. Share this video if you know someone who read the article and they're not really clear about what it means. Yeah, and I will see you again. But now let's go through the questions. So, Pia Seadro, let me guess, US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and other European countries. Well, European countries already have free access to the labor market, so they don't need to get it because the European Union guarantees free movement of labor. So EU citizens can work here freely already. But you're right, US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Korea, Japan, and let me see who's the last because I'm forgetting. Yeah, Great Britain, of course. And that's it, yeah. Australia, Japan, Canada, Korea, New Zealand, Britain, USA. Yeah. So, Ragdan Elhami, dobrý den, Jan. Dobrý den, Jadviga, hi, Jan. The funny part is a lot of the nationalities of people asking you questions on this channel are 99% not even from those countries anyway. Yeah, that happens as well. But we work with a lot of Americans and a lot of British clients as well. So we've had questions from these nationalities as well. But yeah, it sounds good on paper, like Czech Republic, open market to foreigners. So we've received plenty of questions about it. Chamuki, Bazuki, let us in. So if you're on Živno, you could apply for a real employer-sponsored job. Okay, yeah, that's one thing I also wanted to touch. Yes, so one thing. Okay, so yes, if you are an American, you're here under the Živno, under the trade license, you work here as a freelancer, as a freelance English teacher. What this change will, or what this will mean for you is that yes, you will get free access to the labor market, so companies can employ you freely. So if you work as an English teacher, you're under the trade license, and then you find a different job, then there will be no barrier for you to start working immediately, basically, for that company to get employed. So you will not need to stick to the trade license. But the problem is, or what I mentioned before is that it will not change anything on the cost of employment. And many companies don't want to employ you because, I don't know, because of the immigration or whatever, but they don't want to employ you because it's costly. If they hire you as a freelancer, it's like 40% cheaper for them than if they hire you as an employee. And this is not changing. So, okay, it will be a bit faster, but you will still need to switch to an employee card. So you will still need to go through the change of your residence permit type or your purpose of stay process, which will take a couple months anyway. So they will still need to wait for you. They will need to wait for you a bit less, like 10 days less or 30 days less, depending on the position. But they will still need to wait for you, and they will still need to pay you way more than to a freelancer. So I don't think anything will change there. Maybe it will motivate a couple employers. Say, if you tell them, okay, it's easier, it's faster, maybe for some employers might be motivation, but I don't think it's the majority of employers. Another thing is though, that if you're under the trade license visa, so the business visa or business residence permit, and you want to keep it, then you need to have business income. So even though you have a free access to the labor market and you can work freely, you can get employed freely, if you're not making enough money through a trade license, through the živno, then you will not renew the residence permit under the purpose of business, because if you go renew your business visa or business residence permit, and they will ask you about your income, they will be looking only at your business income, not for your employment income. So you can legally be employed under the business visa or business residence permit, but you will not renew it because you don't have high enough business income, and most of your income comes from employment. So the ministry might actually deny your extension application, and they will tell you, okay, apply for the employee card instead, because you are not a freelancer, or just minority of your income is from freelancing and majority is from employment. So this will even become more confusing for some people and companies, and it might actually create more problems for you. So as I say it all the time, sorry, before you make any change, speak with us and consult it. We tell you how to do it in the safe way that you don't end up in a way worse situation than you were before. But thank you very much for that. It was a good topic. I wanted to mention that and then I forgot. Mr. PM01, hi bro, I don't get an appointment for work permit. Can suggest me something? Most likely you've been scammed and you will never get an appointment. I talk about it in every live stream, so I will not repeat it today. Avnur, I'm working in India, but this time I staked for Czech Republic long-term visa appointment. I have 60 candidates right now, but I could not get any right way. Can you help me in this? Nope. If you're from India, you will never get anyone to work in the Czech Republic, so makes no sense to try. I have offer letter from one hotel in Czech. Forget, bro, these things. First answer the question what people ask you. Not true for US in terms of social safety net, sadly. Yeah, okay, that was that you're probably not, as a US citizen, you're probably not coming here to use the social security system. What I mean by that is that the Czech, even if you worked here for 20 years, depending on your salary, of course, but I would say the average pension here would be like $700 monthly or $800 monthly. So I think even if you do like the least paid job in the US, your pension will be higher than that. So that's what I meant, that you're probably not moving here to get like benefits like this if you're from Japan or US or South Korea. Samik Shasak Harkar, sorry for the mispronunciation. Hi sir, I'm from India. Can I get a job? You probably can get a job from some agents in India, and that's about it, because you will never get a residence permit based on the job. Piak Seadro, I'm not paying tuition before applying for a student visa. Would that affect the chances of getting it approved? It might depend if the ministry will find out, if they contact the school and what are the internal rules of the school, but of course it can impact the process. Chamuki Bazuki, but the employer does not have to post the job to the labor market to see it if Czechs wants it first. If you already had a job from a Czech employer, how could they tell you to apply for employee card? Yeah, that was the whole point of the video. What is happening now is that you get free access to the labor market. So if you want to get a job, apply for the employee card, your employer will not need to post it to the labor office, and Czech people will not have a chance to get the job. That's the advantage. But as mentioned, for some positions, this waiting period, the test of the labor market is 10 days. So it will shorten the process for 10 days. For some positions, it's 30 days. So it will shorten the process for 30 days. But we anyway usually use the 30 days while we wait for the vacancy number to collect all the other documents, because you still need to get a criminal check from the country of origin, diploma, accommodation, employment contract, all that, fill in the application, get the appointment at the embassy. So actually the 30 days don't really change anything much on the timing. Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining. Hopefully this was useful. Yeah, and I will see you again Monday, Thursday, until the end of the world. Bye-bye. Good night.